Hello, friends. Hello from Jerusalem. I hope everyone is doing well. It's nice to see many of our friends already in the meeting. We're still expecting more to be joining us again in another Sabil Kumi event this week. Today we have a very special guest, and it's an amazing journalist who's very active. Some of you might have come across many of his articles. We have Mr. Mu'tasem from Sayed Mu'tasem. Assalamu alaikum. I think the speaker might be having some problems with his internet. Abu Jum'a?
معاك I'm hearing you.
Assalamu alaikum.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله. Can I have 5 minutes break before we start? I want to
Yes. Yeah, we just want to say, just to make sure that the mic is working and everything is okay. So yes, we will join us when you're able, Abu Jum'a.
Just 5 minutes. I want to 3 ركعات. المغرب.
So, dear friends, it's wonderful to have you again in another Sabil Kumi event. I'm so sorry for all of the confusion with the different time changes. You know, it's pretty complicated here in Palestine. Part of it is that it's the PA, especially during Ramadan, when they announce the time change, it is only announced in a very short period of time before they actually do it, and sometimes they change their mind. I know it sounds weird, it sounds terrible, but that's one of the uncertainties when you're living in the Middle East and in Palestine specifically. So what has been announced that most likely they're going to make the time change after the end of Ramadan, after the Muslim Eid. So Israel will be changing their time, their daytime savings in the near, it's this weekend, hopefully, Friday night. So we'll keep this updated. And sadly, it's still, the situation here in Palestine and Israel, many of you are following the news, or if you're following the news, or the situation is pretty bad, sadly. Yesterday, there was another attack. I was speaking with some of my friends just for the meeting. We were chatting. There was an attack on the Virgin Mary Church. For people who have been to Jerusalem, you must have passed by it or even visited it. It's one of the major churches in Jerusalem. It's located at the end of the Mount of Olives, just next to the Church of Garden of Gethsemane. Again, 2 radical Israeli Jewish settlers, Israelis, we don't know if they're settlers or not. Most likely they are. They went into the church and again, they attacked the church. The church leaders, again, have issued a statement jointly condemning this situation. Now, this is the 20th attack on a major Christian holy site in less than 3 months. And this is the 7th public announcement by church leaders saying that there's a problem. Sadly, it's not many churches in the West or many governments, but at least churches in the West are not echoing the concerns that are being raised by the churches or the Palestinian community or by journalists, sadly. This is pretty worrying, especially now we are approaching the month of Ramadan, and during the month of Ramadan, the month of April will be a very busy month here in Jerusalem because it will be a combination of Christian, Jewish, Christian, Western and Eastern tradition holidays. It will be Ramadan and the Muslim Eid, and also it will be also the Jewish holidays. We're speaking about many people will be around Jerusalem. Already people are very upset and very worried. And it has been a tradition, or it has been, unfortunately, it has been a reality. The past 3 or 4 years, the month of Ramadan has been more violent in East Jerusalem. part of it is the radical and the continuing incursions of settler groups or radical groups who insist to go into Al-Aqsa Mosque. Usually on an average, sadly, over 20 or 30 tours of Israelis go into Al-Aqsa Mosque on tours, and sometimes they engage with conducting certain rituals, which end up creating friction with existing worshippers inside Al-Aqsa Mosque, and this ends up with confrontations. And the Israeli army and the Israeli police always takes the position of these settlers, and it ends up with violence and injuries and assaults on the Palestinian people. Settler attacks continue to be on the rise. I was just speaking, it's a friend of mine who's married to somebody from the north of the West Bank. He happens to have a dual citizenship. He's both Palestinian and American. So he's the only one who is related to the village with an American passport. So Israeli settlers went into the village and stole the horse of his father-in-law. So the whole village said, "You have an American passport." Simply thinking, it's naive people. They said, let's go to the Israeli settlement and negotiate. Maybe they will give us back the horse. We're willing to pay for it. And so my friend said, they don't understand the logic of it. So he said, "Omar, would you come with me to the settlement to look for the missing horse?" I said, really, I'm not. I don't think that it's like on my priority list to look for the missing horse. But I know that it is Mariana who's with us. She's leading a group of Canadians coming to Palestine. So I don't know if maybe we take you and the group to look for the missing horse for the settlers. We laugh about it, but because it's such a ridiculous situation. 2 weeks ago, how they come up that most likely a settler stole the horse and they're going to ask money to bring back the horse is actually because more than 2 or 3 weeks ago, settlers from nearby the village stole 30 sheep from a Palestinian shepherd. And the only way that they were able to willingly to give it back is that if the farmer bought again his own sheep. So the logic of it, that this is a common now practice that the settlers, because they're able to conduct such crazy behaviors, they go into Palestinian villages, steal the products, animals, specifically now they're focusing on animal stock, but sometimes they steal cars or other property, and they don't know what to do with it. It's not like it's on the highest priority of the Zionist project is to get like 50 sheep. They have other things to deal with. So they negotiate or send news to the Palestinian village. It's very much blackmailing. It sounds more like a mafia, like an organized crime. If you have any connections with Netflix series, they can start, it's bringing back the sheep or bringing back the horse or looking for the missing horse. Could maybe give the horse a special name so it becomes more appealing and attractive. For at least for the Netflix structure, to have another Palestinian movie that speaks about our misery and here living under occupation. So I hope I'm keeping you entertained. I mean, it's not like I'm doing it just to waste your time, but actually that's part also of the agenda. Abu Jum'a, who is also, he's a journalist, he's an activist, but he also is the Muslim, he's the cleric at the Muslim mosque in Gaza City. He has done his education, part of it in the UK. He did his master's. So it happens for this meeting to be at the same time of Muslim evening prayers. So he said he will be joining us very soon, hopefully. Yes, I mean, it's continues. Yes, regarding some of the questions that are being raised in the chat. Yes, there continues to be, unfortunately, I mean, it's even in addition to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, there is another conflict, as if we were looking into the business of conflict. There's a debate that is happening in Israel. So many people, please do not be deceived of what you're seeing or hearing about the news. The demonstrations or the movement that is taking place in Israel is mainly for Jewish democracy. So when they speak or advocating for trying to protect certain judicial or do not want to make certain amendments to the judicial system in the UK, their main priority is Jewish democracy. It's very clear. There are over 60 or 70 laws inside Israel that discriminate specifically against Palestinians or non-Jewish citizens inside Israel. Or, I mean, they apply for all non-Jewish citizens, but specifically they are catering to discriminate against Palestinians living, Palestinian citizens of Israel. So all of these laws are part of the judicial system. So let us try to unmute you. Welcome back, Abu Jum'a. Let us try to, yes. Oh, yes. تقدر تعمل unmute?
Is it okay now?
Yes, it is. So أول شيء تقبل الله يا جمعة.
Inshallah.
So yes, so in Islam, when somebody finishes his prayers, the tradition or the saying is that may God listen to your prayers. So I see Sheikh Jum'a became happy from my da'wah, yes? So thank you very much for being with us, Abu Jum'a, and we're always very excited when we hear or we have guests from Gaza. Gaza has a special place in the hearts of many people around the world. I mean, for Palestinians, but also many people around the world. It's a small place, but with amazing people and powerful people who are resilient, who are trying to expose all of the human rights violations that are taking place and the occupation, and also to keep the image of Palestine in a beautiful way in the hearts and the minds of many millions around the world, similar to the position of Jerusalem. So thank you for being with us. We have a tradition, Abu Jum'a, Mr. Mu'tasam, is that we have the speaker introduce him or herself. So can you please very briefly introduce yourself? Who is Abu Jum'a and the work that you are doing?
I am Mu'tasim Ahmad Dalloul. I am from the Gaza Strip. I did the master's in international journalism in Westminster University of London in 2012. I've been a journalist since 2004. I have been working for Middle East Monitor since 2012 after doing my master's in London. Middle East Monitor, I think every pro-Palestine activist know everything about it. I became a staff writer about 5 years ago, and I write 6 reports every day to Middle East Monitor from Gaza and the West Bank and Jerusalem. And I write 7 opinion articles and analysis every month. I write about opinion articles about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, about and the Middle East in general, about Egypt, Turkey, Jordan, about the Arab League, about the Middle East in general, and that's it.
Thank you very much for being with us. I mean, it's not easy to be a journalist in Palestine, but also specifically in Gaza.
Yes, I didn't tell you that in 2018, during the Great March of Return, I was shot by an Israeli sniper in the chest, and I suffered serious injuries. I spent several days in coma, and my family was told by the doctors when I was unconscious that I might have been passed away because of the serious injuries I suffered. But thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I recovered, alhamdulillah, and returned to my normal life. Before 1 week before, I was shot by the Israeli sniper. An Israeli or a Jewish lobby on Twitter sent me a message telling me that, or warning me that they were gonna shoot me. They wrote in the message exactly, "We will hunt you." And the next week they hunted me. Lakin, alhamdulillah, I recovered from the injuries. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. I returned to my work.
So you were covering the Great March of Return.
Yes. I was covering the Great March of Return. I was taking videos with my iPhone. While I was taking the pictures and videos, they shoot me. A sniper shot me in the chest. It was, I think, it was meant to kill me. He was meant to kill me. I planned to kill me, but alhamdulillah, I survived.
So, Abu Jum'a, you were dressed with the press clothes, or you civilian clothes?
I didn't I didn't wear the vest with the brace, but I was among about 20 foreign journalists. All of them were wearing the vests, so that it was clear that we were a group of journalists taking a certain side, not the same side of the marcher. The people who are protesting, and all of us had cameras, had about most of them, you can say, were wearing vests, but it was a targeted shoot.
I mean, as we are in the commemorating, or remembering Shireen Abu Aqli, who was killed by, last year. How many Palestinian journalists were killed or have been injured during the Great March of Return? I know that's not the topic of the meeting today, but I think it is.
Three journalists were killed during the Great March of Return, and tens were wounded. I don't remember how many journalists were wounded, but at least 30, 40 journalists were wounded. Some of them seriously wounded. I know one who has been suffering until today from the consequences of his injury, which sustained during the Great March of Return.
Yes. It's soon. I also, again, in the coming 10 days, we will also be remembering it. Is on Land Day is on the 30th of March, and that's also that was the date that the Great March of Return was launched. One of the great chapters of Palestinian history and nonviolent resistance and community resistance and resilience. Again, and so many Palestinians died while just marching and demanding for their rights. May we always remember all of the martyrs, all of the people who have marched for Palestinian rights throughout history and who have paid the price. But again, we're going to go back to our topic today, Abu Jum'a. So, the theme is we're speaking about natural resources. And it is Palestine, historical Palestine is a small piece of land, but it's rich with history, with religious significance. It's an important place geographically. It connects 3 continents: Europe, Asia, Africa. It's a beautiful place. We have the desert, we have the mountains, we have rivers, we have seas, we have lakes. We have the beautiful Mediterranean Sea. We have a beautiful weather that is suitable for whatever we plant will grow. Today I bought, it's the last of the season, with the strawberries that we have from Gaza. So if you haven't tried the strawberries of Gaza, they're everywhere here in the West Bank. They're one of the things that we're able to get from Gaza. But also Gaza, now we're hearing that is also very rich with or there is a presence of gas. I read an article that you just wrote in last month about gas. Is there gas in Gaza?
In fact, there is a very large gas reserve of the Gaza coast. It's not too far from the coast, but and the Palestinian Authority started to develop this gas reserve in 2000 by the help to give the franchise to a British company, and the British company started working, and it reached a very good progress regarding the excavation of gas. But
sorry, this was what year? When did this take place?
It started in 1999 exactly. Exploration, gas exploration of the Gaza coast started exactly in 1999. 1 year later, in 2000, the British gas company, which is now BG Group, discovered the gas in a field known as Gaza Marine, and it was then another gas field known Gaza Marine 1 and Gaza Marine 2 and Gaza Marine 3. Three gas fields were discovered. It's about the first one, Gaza Marine 1. It is about 30 kilometers west of the Gaza Strip, and inside the sea. It is estimated to contain about 1 trillion cubic feet of natural gas.
So Abu Jama, because it's many of us are not aware about this. I mean, it's that, you know, it is, we don't think of Palestine or Gaza as a rich gas, as a rich country of gas, because it's Gaza is also lies next to Egypt, and I mean it's with the borders of Israel, and I mean with the sea. Is this entirely, the gas reserve is only entirely accessible to only Gaza, or it is also has some parts that are also connected to Egypt or Israel?
These fields, which were discovered in 2000 by the British gas company, they were off the Gaza coast. They aren't front of the Israeli coasts or the lands occupied in 1948. They are and they are still untouched. The gas which is used by the Israeli occupation authorities is of the 1948 lands, the lands occupied, I mean, in 1948, or what is known as Israel. It is different from the gas fields discovered of the coasts of the Gaza Strip, and these gas fields are still untapped because you know the Israeli occupation imposed a strict siege on the Gaza Strip, and they prevented or undermined the BG Group from continuing its work. If work in these fields continued, I think Gaza would have been exporting gas to the world 10 years before Israel. But
Europe and the Russian, yeah, we could have helped Europe with this Russian-Ukrainian war.
Yes.
But so that for me just to understand this, so it's the property belongs, the gas reserves are for Gaza, and I mean for the Palestinians, I mean, and Israel was, and the PA already contracted a British company to help.
I don't exactly know how Israel passed its restrictions or its ban on the British company, but the British company years later withdrew from the Palestinian market because it found that it will have much losses because of the stop work orders imposed by Israel. And because it knew that Israel will not allow the Palestinians to use their gas because they don't have their hand on the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. This is the reason that Israel is imposing a strict siege on the Gaza Strip. You know,
But Abu Jum'a, for people, and many of our friends are already have been to Palestine, are very active when it comes to Palestine. So like the water in the West Bank is taken, all of the water reservoirs are controlled by Israel. Even the air, I mean, it's even like you cannot have telecommunication without the approval of Israel, and they create like they choose which frequencies they are willing to give to the Palestinians. Even, I mean, the stones, the soil, the properties of the Dead Sea, everything, all of our natural resources are being taken over by the occupation forces.
here in Gaza, we aren't suffering from the Israeli theft of gas fields. We are suffering from the Israeli theft of fishing industry. We are suffering from Israeli theft of underground water. Farmers here in the Gaza Strip suffer from the drains of wells, water wells, which they use to irrigate their farms. Because Israel has digged a very large number of deep water wells, and it take the water so that the water wells in the Gaza Strip, which are only 60 to 70 or 80 meters deep, it drained. The water they stopped giving water, and farmers cannot take water from these wells because in order to irrigate their farms, because the Israeli occupation wells are about 400 and 500 meter deep. So that they store our underground water, they store our gas fields. Experts say that when Israel started to extract gas from its gas fields of Haifa and Tel Aviv and the occupied land, this will affect the gas fields in the Gaza Strip. The amount of gas will decrease by time because of the Israeli depletion of the fishing industry. You know, Israel imposed a ban on the Palestinian fishermen. They don't allow them to sail more than 10 or 12 nautical miles, so that they can only fish or get the small fish like sardina and some thing like this. They don't have much fishing when they because they don't sail too far in the depth of the sea. Every single natural resource in the Gaza Strip is being stolen by the Israeli occupation, the same as it is happening in the West Bank and the occupied West Bank and Jerusalem and other parts of occupied Palestine. It's not only the gas fields.
I mean, many Israelis, when they are on speaking tours or when they're writing application, the writing material, they say, we're no longer in Gaza. We withdrew. You know, Sharon withdrew from Gaza. That was the disengagement plan. So it's that it is all of the resources continue to be stolen. So the occupation still exists.
Gaza is typically under a strict Israeli occupation. It is a very strange kind of occupation. A very strange kind of occupation they aren't inside Gaza, but they engulf the Gaza Strip from the sea, from the air, from the ground. All the crossings are controlled by Israel. All the sea, the coastline is controlled by Israel. All the air is controlled by Israel. No, we don't have airport. We don't have a seaport. We don't have ground borders, border, ground. We don't have crossings. We don't have ground crossings, so that it is a complete and strange kind of occupation, and they don't let they don't let commodities, they don't to Gaza freely. They impose, they prevent hundreds of commodities from entering the Gaza Strip, so that they paralyze the industrial sector, they paralyze the commercial sector. They don't allow marks, clothes from famous marks, from entering the Gaza Strip. They also they also don't allow us to buy the needed amount of fuel we need. They restrict the entry of fuel. They restrict the stream of the electricity stream, electricity current. We don't have enough electricity. We only have 8 hours on. We have electricity in Gaza, 8 hours on and 8 hours off. Because of in 2006 we had 3 generators in the sole electricity plant in the Gaza Strip, so they don't want us to have full day electricity, so that they targeted 2 turbines or generators, and let 1 generator to generate electricity beside the electricity coming from the Israeli side, and we have only half the amount of electricity needed for the Gaza Strip in the normal days. But in the crisis days, when there is a war or offensive or something, they cut electricity completely. And fuel.
It gets sometimes confusing, because Gaza is known to be a very creative place filled with wonderful people who do amazing things. So, for example, as we speak, for many years, I mean, Gaza used to be a big exporter of flowers, even to Europe, even to Holland, the country of flowers. And now this has stopped, and I think maybe most likely most of this industry has died or was reduced to the minimum. However, if you look into at least the Palestinian in the West Bank, we have, I mean, the strawberries from Gaza are everywhere. So what's the logic? How do they accept, for example, they allow strawberries to be exported, the Israeli government, and like say no to the tulips? What's the logic that they use?
I want to speak about strawberry. Okay, strawberry now they give the farmers a window of hope, and they tell the farming unions that they will be allowing the farmers to export their produce when it is ripe. Okay, but when it ripes, they don't allow they only allow a very small amount of to be exported. Strawberry now, the farmers are pouring it in the market with very, very cheap prices, because the Israeli occupation put restrictions on the amount of the exported amount. They only allow the farmers to export, you can say, 1/5 of their produce. This way they destroy, they damage the whole crop. They destroy the farmers. Next time, farmers need support from the government or from the NGOs or from donors from abroad in order to to plant their lands and they plant strawberries again. They don't allow, and they tell the world they are hypocrite. They are very hypocrite occupation. They are very clever occupations. They tell the world, look, we allow them to export strawberry. Go to Europe, you will find the Palestinian strawberry from the Gaza Strip in the European markets and in the Israeli markets. I ate strawberry from Gaza in London, but they do the same way as I explained. It's very strange occupation. It's and the strange thing that the international community trusts them and they believe that they give us the free life, free movement, free.
No, I think most of the people around the world now, they know that Israel, I mean, Israeli policies are very clear. I mean, I think everybody agrees, even the allies of Israel, that Israel is not a democracy, that the occupation exists.
I mean,
But, I mean,
the official or the official regimes.
the official, yeah, it's but even the official regime, even the US, the support, the big friend of Israel knows also, and they're already making it into statements. But the problem is that they don't act on it. They say, you know, it's yes, it's wrong, it's not, but they don't do anything. It's very sad. They are like, I mean, they only talk and no action. So Gaza is also, I mean, it's one of the best resources of Gaza. I mean, a part of the gas. I know that gas is very valuable and very important, and is the people of Gaza. The people of Gaza are amazing. When I hear people, you know, the reports that the best IT people now, the best entrepreneurs, every now and then we open the news and somebody has done an invention in Gaza. Gaza, there's always inventions. There's also very creative people. As a resource of Gaza, the people, how many of the people of Gaza are actually being, I mean, are unemployed, have access to education? How does it look in Gaza for the young people?
Gaza suffers from very high unemployment rate because of the siege. You know, unemployment rate in Palestine in general, it's 24%. In the Gaza Strip, it's over 55% in the Gaza Strip alone, because of the lack of opportunities, the destruction of factories and destruction of industrial sector in general. You know, every Israeli offensive, every major Israeli offensive in the Gaza Strip since 2006 destroys at least half of the industrial sector. So that now in 2023, Gaza is suffering, is only living on at most 10% of its industrial capacity. So that graduates don't find work. You can say only 15 to 16% of graduates find work in Gaza Strip. Therefore, they are pushed to seek jobs abroad. They leave the Gaza Strip, they immigrate because of the lack of jobs. Unfortunately, if they want to travel to Egypt, which is our neighbor, there is a very bad economic situation in Egypt and lack of opportunity also, so that they are pushed to seek opportunities abroad behind the seas, over the seas. And you know, the dangers of immigration and people who drowned in the sea and so on. You know, I forgot to tell you that my brother has a cheese factory. It was attacked by the Israeli occupation 5 times in 2008, in 2010, in 2012, in 2014, and in 2021. My house, it was attacked by the Israeli occupation 3 times. The first time in 2008, and then the next time in 2010, and the third time in 2014. The Israeli occupation don't leave anything in the Gaza Strip without causing damage, without devastating the people who own the industries, who own the factories, who own the homes, who own the the Israeli occupation targeted the universities in Gaza and the schools. The Islamic University, which is the leading university in the Gaza Strip, was targeted 2 times. One, the first time in 2008, and the second time in 2014. Under fake pretext, the Israeli occupation doesn't have a problem to give many pretexts to claim that or to justify their attack on educational institutions or industrial sectors and something like this.
We have a question. Tomorrow is the World Day of Water, and many people are asking, what's the water situation? You've mentioned that it's Israel has control over the water resources, or many of the water resources in Gaza. How accessible is water in Gaza and clean water in Gaza, and what's the situation?
I think that everyone in the world knew about the UN report about the water situation in the Gaza Strip, which was issued in 2012. This report stated that Gaza will be unlivable by 2020. One of the reasons that more than 90% of tap water is unusable, is not good for human use. The Gaza people here depend on bottled water for drinking. The only bottled water, and there are the NGOs and the charities built some desalination plants. There is one major plant in the south of the Gaza Strip, and every neighborhood in Gaza has several filters, major filter plants, or water plants that filterize the water for drinking. And we buy drinking water from these plants. Now you see, we lost electricity.
So, and this is, as you said, you have 8 hours of electricity and 8 hours that you lose electricity. So if you are not, hospitals have generators, hopefully, but schools.
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
We don't have, we have generators, we have solar plants, but this is expensive for us because we buy fuel and use this fuel for the generators. This is expensive for the normal people and the institutions. And we have solar electricity, solar energy, but it is also expensive because if you want to buy a blade to generate solar electricity, you need much money. And Gaza, poverty in Gaza is about 70 people of Gaza, 70% of Gaza residents live under the poverty line, so that they can hardly buy food. So that they can't buy solar blades for electricity and something.
So it's We have a question from one of our friends. Today, the UK Foreign Secretary has hosted his Israeli counterpart, Eli Cohen, and signed an agreement to boost trade, defense, and security ties. They have focused on approaching 75 years of UK-Israel relations and his support for the Abraham Accords. Not one mention of Nakba or Smotrich despicable comments saying there are no Palestinians because there isn't a Palestinian people. I am ashamed and despair of the current UK government's attitude. You studied in the UK and spent time in Europe. Are you feeling as journalists that there is change happening, or it's to the better or to the worse?
Regarding the people of the UK or the British citizens, and I feel this is also in general in Europe and the US, the normal people in these countries started to know the reality of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and they are day by day siding by the Palestinians and against the Israeli occupation, because they knew exactly what have been done for the Palestinians since 70 or 80 years. This is because of the activists who disclose the Israeli crimes, the Palestinian activists, the pro-Palestine activists from these countries, from every Israeli official hosted by a Western, for example, education institution. It is protested against, students protest against him and sometimes dismiss him or leave him and don't listen to his lectures. And when it is an Israeli official hosted by, for example, the British government, the British people demonstrate demonstrate in front of the place he is hosted in. And you know, I feel that I have friends from the UK who are British. They keep protesting every day against British arms factories which support and supply Israel, or provide arms to Israel, or cooperate with Israeli arms industry. And this is this kind of awareness has been spreading and widening more and more by days. And I'm constant with this. I am happy with my European friends and people who aren't my friends, but pro-Palestine activists. I appreciate their work, appreciate their efforts, even those who I don't know, because I feel that their activism, their work, their movement help improving our situation and help making our issue spread more and more. And this certainly and definitely helping us by time, inshallah, until we and making us closer to see the end of the Israeli occupation.
Thank you very much, Abu Jum'a. I mean, it's definitely the logic. If people know, people are forced to act. That's people are good, and people don't accept injustice. And we Palestinian people continue to face injustice. But for people to know, we need amazing people, amazing journalists like yourself and many others who continue to put their life under, are willing to risk their lives and their well-being, even get shot, as you have said, just to bring out the news from Palestine to the world. Thank you very much, Abu Jum'a. Soon we are starting Ramadan in the coming 2 days. So Ramadan Mubarak for you and for all our friends in Gaza. From around the world, from Jerusalem, we want to thank you. And your final words, Abu Jum'a.
You are welcome. My final words is I want to tell you that my little kids are waiting for me. My little kids are waiting for me to buy them some gifts for Ramadan.
So we shouldn't join into the suffering of the little children. MashaAllah. What's his name?
Bakr.
بكر. الله يحفظه والله يخليه لبكر. انت بطل يا بكر. ايه ومين هاي الحلوة كمان ما شاء الله عليها؟
حبيبه. ايوه قاعدين حواليا بستنوا يلا يا بابا
يلا الله يحميهم. اوكي ابو جمعة. تيك كير وشكرا كثير. خلاص خذوا ابوكم. يلا موفق الله يخليك يا ابو جمعة. يعطيكم الف عافية. Okay, take care friends and see you next week inshallah. Take care. مع السلامة.